Welcome to the call. It's been a while. We've been out of town. Scott's was out of town for a week. I followed right behind him out of town for a week. And so we're just now getting back in the studio. And so it's good to be back. Scott, I've missed you.
I have missed you, Stacy.
Yeah,
It seems like we haven't done this forever. That's what it seems like.
it does.
We've got to get our whole vibe going again. Where
That's
we get, where we get back in the sync of things and get these things turned out. That's what we're going to have to do.
Yeah, the upper room had that little musky smell like nobody's been in here forever.
Have to turn the air on.
So and have to get the dust off everything. But yeah, it's good to be back, and we got a lot to talk about. Lots happened and transpired. Scott's been busy wheeling and dealing and talking to men and talking to companies and industries and outfitters, and I mean he's done got stuff lined up for duck season. He's got me just tore up. I don't know if I'll sleep the rest of the year. I don't know.
It's like Christmas.
Oh, 100%.
It's definitely Christmas.
Like, when you're a kid, you have a wish list. You know what I mean? You check those wish lists. Like, the Sears catalog used to come every year with that wish list. Well, Scott's like that Sears catalog, and so he's got the wish list going, and so he's making dream. I said he's a combination of Walt Disney and who was we talking about this?
Willy Wonka.
Willy Wonka. And so, but it's I'm excited and yeah, definitely with a little Ted dashed in there, but. And you heard that voice. We've got a guest with us today. He's no stranger to us, but I'm sure he is to you guys. And it's good to have Scott's son Bailey with us today. And he's an avid outdoorsman and just got an amazing story and just a cool person to be around. And so we're glad to have him in the upper room with us today. Hopefully this won't be the last time. I know it's the first, but we won't let it be the last. And so.
Have a beard.
We're glad to have him. That's right. Yes. And he makes us look good, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's why we got him in the middle.
That's right. We got to have that.
We're like the two bookends of old and decrepit, and we're
No, but yeah, it's good to have Bailey. And so let's talk turkey. Turkey season is in full swing here in Georgia, and I'm sure all around the United States. And so we've already started here. Private land opened up first, and man, I got a story for that. Took my 19-year-old with me, and if it could have went wrong, it went wrong. It seemed like, and so I felt so bad for him. I got a friend of mine who invited us to come hunt her place. She'd been seeing turkeys for a long time, sending me pictures of these two big strutters out in her field. And so we get there that morning, and AJ's fiddling with he's got a brand new 20 gauge Stoker. It's in that bottomland camo. It's nice. And so he's fiddling with his gun, and I'm like, what the crap are you doing over there? And he says, it's wrong ammo. It's wrong ammo. And I was like, no, it's not, dude. It's the only ammo you have is turkey load, TSS. And so he's like, I think it's that bird shot that we were shooting the other day. I was like, no, I said, it's turkey load. And so if you're not familiar with automatic weapons, they're very fidgety. If you don't let it slam in real hard when you put it in, and it somehow it doesn't want to work. So anyway, we sit out there. We don't hear nothing early, right at daylight, and then about 7:20, 7:30, we hear one gobble, and it sounds like he's right next to us, like right in our ear. And he shakes the woods, and so I'm telling AJ, like, "Hey, get ready. It's fixing to happen."
Was he nervous?
He said he sat there for so long like this, with his arms up and holding the gun, that he's like, "Man, I can feel my arm." I was like, "Just don't move," And so a hen flies in. And she lands right in our decoy spread, and she's walking around just eating. And so, lo and behold, I can see out the corner of my left eye, here comes two strutters, and they're just, full strut coming in. And so I was like, get ready, it's fixing to happen. And so they get in front of us. They're like 12 steps in front of us, looking right at us. And I'm like, AJ, I said, pull the trigger. And he's like, I ain't got a shot. I said, when you get a shot, pull the trigger. And so he's like, okay, I'm fixing to pull the trigger. And I said, okay. And now when he pulls it, it clicks. And I'm like, oh crap, what do we do? And I had my gun in my lap, and I know these turkeys are looking us down, and I've turkey hunted enough to know that if you move whatsoever, they're going to be gone. And so I'm like, he's like, well, hand me your gun. And so I was like, I can't hand you my gun. I said, they're staring us down. And so and so I didn't know. So the turkeys just kind of wander off. They just kind of walk off into a little creek bottom and right out of our lives, you know. And so
It's like the
that
best
was
club.
that was opening weekend for us. And so it hurt me more than it did him because I wanted him because he's the only one like of my boys who hadn't shot a turkey yet. And so I mean, even my 14-year-old's killed one. You know, Zach's killed one, but he hadn't killed one yet. And so
Now we have had a visitor here that has told us that turkey hunting isn't as hard as you said it was. Would you like to tell them the story with that? Would you like to give them the background?
who was saying that?
That would be Vince. Our guest
yes,
and
yeah,
compadre Vince
that's right.
has decided that Stacy is has made it out to be more than it is. So I'll let Stacy kind of tell you the story. It's a great story.
It is. It is funny because that Vince, you just got to know Vince, and you'll get to know him. I'm sure. Vince lives. His property butts up to National Forest, and they're covered up with turkeys. I mean, he's got a ton. And so, opening morning of public, I called him Friday night before and said, "Hey, you want to go in the morning?" He's like, "If I'm out there at 6:30, I'll go with you." He said, "If I'm not, don't wake me up." He said, "Just leave me alone." And so I show up at his place. He's not up. The place is black. And so I make my way into the woods to a ridge. I know where turkeys are. I've seen turkeys there. And I'm sitting there maybe 30 minutes and I hear just a big boom, like close. I'm like, I know it's close. I'm like, dang, dude. I was like, dude, somebody just shot one. I ain't even heard a bird yet. And so I get over and all of a sudden I get a text, "Hey, where you at?" And it's from Vince. And I'm like, "I'm on this ridge. Where you at?" "I just killed one." And I'm like, "What?" And so he's like, "Yeah, I don't know what to do." He's like, because he never killed a turkey. He's
Oh my
like,
God.
yeah, he's like, "Can you come down here and clean it for me?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll be down in a minute." And so I get down there and he's in his flip flops and he's in like pajama bottoms and a t-shirt. And I was like, how did you kill this thing, man?" He said, "I saw it out my back window." He said, "I got my 20 gauge." He said, "I snuck around my car." He said, "It wasn't looking. I just shot it in the back of the head."
Oh.
He said, "That wasn't hard at all, man." He said, "You made it sound like it was hard." And I was like, "Dude," I said, that's just wrong." And so then he goes and changes to his camo and makes pictures.
That's
so,
So then, if that wasn't enough, the next part of this story, which is even classier, right? He comes back for another one.
yeah,
Same two. Day two.
Yeah, next day in the pouring down rain. It's pouring rain. And so, yeah, he's
Killed another one the next day.
Yes,
Killed
the
it.
very next day in the same place, like right behind his house. I mean, I'm talking like 20 yards in his
Same
backyard.
PJs.
Yes, probably the same PJs.
He said, "It's really not as hard as they say it is." That's what he said.
Yeah.
I said, "He's never had to hunt."
Well, here's what was so funny. He didn't know what he had. He didn't. The first bird he killed was a nice bird that had, probably reached on public and came over on his little private area of his private land. But he killed it was a nice bird, probably a 10-inch beard, almost an inch and a half spurs. I mean, it was an older bird. And he's like, "I don't know what to do with it." And so he just wanted the beard off of it. And I was like, "Dude, you need to keep the whole thing, at least make you a wall fan out of it, and so I cut it up for him and got everything ready because he was going out of town. And so, yeah, then the next day he killed what I call a thunder jake or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was just a big mature jake. And so he's like, "I did it again, shot him up." I was like, "Dude," I said, "That's crazy." And he's like, "Yeah," he said, "What all this came on?"
He said, "You really don't have to get up early." That's what he told me. I said, "You don't really have to get up early, Scott. It's just, I drink my coffee and then they just come." And that's what he said. They just come out of nowhere.
It's funny. And I was proud for him. I was. After he realized what he had done, and he was so excited about that, that first one. And I said, "Well, just keep that Jake fan, for like your decoys.
Yeah.
You would be a struggle decoy that you put that Jake fan and run with it, So that's really effective early season. Whatever. Sure, Tom's can't handle it. That's that realistic fan. It's going to
Well, tell me about your hunt. Now, Stacy, he, with all modesty aside, Stacy did killed a very nice tom this year. So, and this story has a unique experience because I think Stacy, there's, and I'm gonna let him tell it because he when he comes in, this is how we do it, right? Here, you got to make the person who you're telling the story feel it, right? So we're sitting there, all of us, and you got to put the drama in it. So he starts to tell me this story with the drama, and it's the small details that are in the story that mean the most. So I'm gonna let you tell the story.
Well, it was Good Friday, you know, and hunters, if I have a gut feeling, I know I need to go. Like that morning, I woke up and I had that gut feeling like get in the woods.
Well, let's back up because we got Bailey here, right? So Bailey had told us that we were possibly going to go, right? And
That's
we didn't
right.
know.
That's right.
So we planned, and then we had,
Right.
we had a cancellation by Larry, right? Late minute. So I called Stacy and said, it isn't going to happen. He goes, okay, man, I gotta, that's all right. I gotta go talk to the FCA. I've got a speech I gotta give. I said, okay. So I was super busy. I couldn't go. So Stacy gets up and I think sometimes when you're hunting, that's the thing, right? It's those times that you get up and you think, I just gotta go. I just got this feeling I gotta go. It's going to be a good day. And all your buddies have said that they're not going to go. You get up and you're on your own, right? So now tell the story.
Yeah, and so so the hunt fell through with Bailey, and so I thought, well, I told Scott, so I think I got to speak at FCA anyway. I think tomorrow morning. So I got up early, like 5:30 that morning. Was looking over some of my notes to go speak at FCA. And I looked at my calendar and was like, oh, that ain't this week. And so I was like, I'm going hunt. I had that feeling like, okay, I don't have to speak. These things are lining up. I have that. I'm already up. I have that gut feeling. I hadn't harvested a bird this year, and so it's Good Friday.
Yeah.
A lot better day than Good Friday to go harvest a bird. And so I go to public land, and if you've ever hunted public land, you know how hard it is. I mean, you're competing with so many people, and these birds are hunted all the time, and so I go over there and I park at Vince's house as it butts up, and I walk in like I've done many times, and it's just quiet, that there's nothing making any sounds. And so finally an owl goes off, and one sounds like he gobbles like 200 yards away from me. It sounds further than that. So I thought, well, I'm gonna make my way to him. And so I started making my way to him, and I probably walked another 50 or 60 yards, and I thought, I'm gonna hit my box call.
Now, whose box call did this come from?
This box call was my uncle's, who taught me everything I know about turkey hunting. He had just passed away about 2 months ago. He was one of our hospice patients, and he loved turkey hunting. I mean, even in his later years, he'd ask me when it would even season, hey, did you kill a turkey? And so I call it Bill's box call, pulled Bill's box call out, hit it, and one cut me off. And I was like, okay, he's close. And so I sat down. I had my decoys with me, and so I put my decoys out about 20 yards out in front of me, and it seemed like an eternity for him to get there. I mean, it seemed like I thought he'd maybe like went another way, or he wasn't coming, because I didn't call anymore. And so finally I see his old red, white, and blue head poking out through the woods. I was like, oh, here he comes. And so I knew it was on. I knew I've been there so many times before, and I knew if he sees my decoys, it's a done deal. Well, he gets where he could see my decoys, and he's still probably 75, 80 yards away. Well, he makes his way in slowly. He would spit and strut, spit and strut. He wouldn't even gobble no more. He just spit and strut. He'd do like a quarter strut, and he'd just stop. And then he got 50 yards from me, and he would spit and strut, and he wouldn't move. I mean, he would just strut in place. He wouldn't even move like he would just like go into a quarter strut and spit and just stand there. And I'm holding my gun. If you've never held your gun that long, my heart is beating out of my chest.
Turkey hunting is definitely the most adrenaline.
Yeah. And it's as if I've never done it before. Like this is my first time. I mean, it's beating out of I look down and I can see my shirt moving. I'm like, oh crap, he's going to see me. And so I had to move to my right a little bit to get on him. And I was praying, I was like, God, please, because he stood there forever. I was like, God, please let him step 10 more steps. And then as I'm praying that, here he steps 10 more steps almost perfectly. And so I turn to get on him. He sees me. He goes into full alert. And as soon as he goes into full alert, I pull the trigger and I roll him. And I'm telling you, I jumped off that tree. I jumped from my butt off the tree in the air, high five God. And I'm shouting. I mean, I'm giving praise. And I mean, if anybody else was in the woods,
They were getting it too.
They were getting it too. And I thought, yes, come on.
Within
And
about
so-
10 minutes, I'm getting pictures. He looks like he has won the lottery. He has just hit the lottery ticket at the Quick Trip. Now
Yeah.
he is holding that thing, a smile that you could see every denture in his face. Right? I mean, he's got that thing with
Yeah.
his new call. He's got the
Yes.
thing. He's got the turkey hanging off of this thing, and we are laughing. I am giggling. I was like, I said, "Man, that's awesome." I said, "He said, dude, you got to see this. You got to see this thing." So,
Yeah, and so I got to looking at, because when he came in, I knew he had a nice beard. I was like, man, he's got an awesome beard, and as long as it took him to get in, I got full details of what he looked like, and he had like a feather, like he'd been fighting. A feather was sticking out of his back.
That's why it's skittish.
Yeah, and so when he seen that Jake decoy, he just kind of froze. Like he didn't know if he wanted to come there and get some of that or not. He stood there, and I was like, man, come on. And so finally, he did move, but I got to examine him, and I was like, oh crap, he's got two beards. And I was like, a public land bird, with two beards, this mature. I mean, I've just killed a trophy.
Yeah.
I mean, and so, in the whole excitement of it, this dude, of course, when you shoot one, when you flip a bird, that's the one proper time that a preacher feels good about flipping a bird. And so, he tears like the whole side of his neck feathers off. And so I'm thinking right then and there, full body mount. He's getting mounted. He's going to the taxidermy. And so I think I called Scott first and then pictures first. And my second call was my taxidermist. I was like, hey, can you fix this? And he's like, oh, yeah.
I didn't even get to see it. That was the funny part because I had already got to work and Stacy was in the woods. I said, bring it by. Let me look at it. He goes, dude, I've already gone to the taxidermy. It's gone to the taxidermy. I've already had that thing.
Yes.
Part it's gone.
Yeah. And so, but it was a cool hunt. It was just one of those I'll never forget, and that's why I told my wife, I was like, I got to get this full body mounted because of just my uncle's call, Good Friday, and what that weekend represents, and being dry, like the monkey was off my back because I was using my Super Black Eagle Benelli, and I done missed like 3 birds with that. I mean, I have, and I was like, I was worried about taking that gun out into the woods ever again, and so to roll one, I'm telling you, it was amazing. It was spiritual.
That's
good.
good.
It was. It's
Cool story. It's one of those that you put in your memory, and as you look at that bird, and just like we got a full strut one mounted over here in the corner, and I think that it's just like these trophies. Somebody says, "Well, why do you mount them and do it?" And so I always say this: I've gotten to the point in my life that I don't do that much mounting of stuff. If something is a unique story to me that I remember, then I do it, and it's only not so much that I just want to remember, and I can walk. We joke about it. My building is called the Man Cave, right? So we have everything in this thing. It's half prepper paradise with reloading and everything else in there. But all my deer heads, fish, stuff like that are hung up inside there. And I walk in and I can remember it, and I always tell this story. So even like with deer hunting, out of all the trophies that I've probably gotten, it's probably the one that Bailey killed when he was a kid. And I was more excited over that 6-pointer and him killing that 6-pointer than any other deer that I've ever killed in my life. And
Well, coming
Well, let's get into that. Let's Bailey. This is where we love to flip it on our guests.
Yeah.
And you are our very first guest besides your little nephew.
Yeah.
And so we're, like I said, we're excited to have you. So let's talk a little bit about
Sick
you.
away, so I have not been the deepest of California.
Yeah. So yeah, he's a sicker boy, and he hasn't been the deepest waters like his nephew. And so, but Bailey, we know that you love the outdoors. We know that you love to fish. We know you love to hunt. And so, can you just tell us your story about how you got into hunting, how you got into outdoors, where it all started for you, your love for it, your passion for it, the call on your life, like the call to get out.
Oh, well, I grew up outside always, anyways. And he taught me everything I know. Not everything he knows, but I know.
Yeah.
That's why I grew up deer hunting mostly. We went turkey hunting some.
Yeah.
I was always more into duck hunting and bird hunting. I've always loved fishing, and not until I would say the past 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
I have a buddy up in Middle Tennessee. His name's Jason. He kind of like reignited my love for hunting. And it's like you find your way back to your roots.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Life speeds up, and then the outdoors is a way to slow everything down. It's the best guys trip ever. It's
Yes.
like there's nothing better than a fire and everybody moving off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the girls think we're doing something like you have no idea. Just throwing cornhole.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And so you love the wings, you love the feather shooting and stuff like that. But I your dad's talked about how you love fishing too and stripers and
Oh, yeah.
that's why your dad said he said I laid down turkey hunting because Bailey wanted to fish so much, and he said so I just started fishing with Bailey all the time and so what's the largest striper that you've ever caught yourself?
What? 38 pounds?
No, it's bigger than that. I think it was 41 and a half. That one that you got the one last one.
That's large. That's big.
Yeah.
That's big.
The problem is,
How old were you? Were you?
I was young. I didn't know how to butt.
Bill Danner said,
Yeah.
Asheville's on the Tennessee River School, mainly.
Is that where you were at? Tennessee?
Yeah.
There's gold.
It kills the ton of them. We used to, and he used to love it. I always tell this, one of my favorite stories of all Bailey is a guy, he can't throw a bank caster because we know it'd be a bank blast. So he already knows the story.
Cutting out.
So our buddy Terry, who's a longtime hunting friend of mine, it was me and him and a guy named Scott Malone who used to be in sales. And I joke about it. Scott would come in, and if you're a plant manager or you're in any kind of manufacturing, people would come in and say, "Hey man, I want to take you hunting, or I want to take you fishing." I was like, "Dude, I can't go." And I said, "Not on the company policy," I said, "but I can't go because I'm not going to go home and my kid see me with something and then them not get to enjoy it." So a lot of guys, I got it approved from upper management that I could go, and they were like, "Yeah, you can go." And a lot of guys would say, "Well, I want to take my son." They were like, "Man, it's a guy's trip. It's not a kid's trip with him." I said, "Okay, well, I can't go." Right.
Yeah.
So Scott,
Always did that too.
he was always a great guy, and I think we conned him into taking us, not knowing what he was going to get into. So it's me and him and Terry are in a boat, and one of my favorite stories is they got this. I mean, this weight is a huge weight on this thing, and Bailey is just unleashing. I mean, it's like the ball bearings are slinging out of this reel, and Terry. It's freezing cold because it's like just like the turkey hunting. You get up early in the morning and
He's wearing a ski mask.
and he's got a ski mask. He looks like an assassin.
That's
He's got a
crazy.
full face ski mask on. And Bailey, I'm fishing on the front of the boat. Bailey's in the middle of the boat. Scott's on the front of the boat with me, and Terry's at the back. And Bailey whips that thing back, hooks Terry's toboggan, and in the blink, full mask, hits him in the top of the head with this huge weight.
Oh, my.
Hits him in the head. Terry is so stunned from the impact, right? And before Terry
Got a concussion.
could even regain his consciousness, Bailey, with the whip of a bull whip, whips that thing off and launches Terry's face mask about 50 yards down
No, I
the
didn't
door.
flip the bell.
Yeah.
I didn't flip the bell.
Oh, it went over the edge. That's right. It went over the edge.
Oh, my goodness.
He called me every day in the book. I said, "It wasn't me." He said, "My damn hat's on your hook." I didn't put the bell. So I just hated.
That's hilarious.
Oh, it's Scott
Me and
from
Terry
that.
had a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, that was a love-hate relationship. And Scott, from that point on, said, "Dude, I've never seen Scott Malone laugh so hard in my entire life." He was like, "Do it again."
Oh.
He's like, "Hit him in the head again." If you hit him in the head again, he said, "I get it." And then
Scott embodies the stereotype of fishing. Like he is
Yeah,
crazy
yeah.
about it. You don't tell the spot. Like it's kind of like a duck hole.
yeah,
But he's
That's hilarious.
massive.
he is.
He's
I always say this: when you're around people that are, I was always very fortunate. The people that I did associate with were always skilled professionals in that. We always laugh for me because I would go fishing, and if I'm not catching something in about 5 minutes, I'm done. Right? I mean, I'm just like, okay, this is not for me now. Bailey and Terry and Scott, they would stay out there. I would be the only one in the middle of the boat going, "Dude, can we go home?" I mean, I'm ready to go home. Right?
Yeah.
The food's gone. I'm sitting here, I'm bored, and they would be out there. Well, if I'm catching, so we go out there with the intent of catching stripers, and I start catching drums. And drums, or if you've ever seen one, they got a super small mouth, and they go immediately when they grab a bait, they go straight to the bottom. And when they pull, we would fish with tackle that was used for muskies, and those rods would literally almost pull you over the edge. And I would get so excited, I would be like a Catholic schoolgirl screaming. I was like, "Oh God, I got one, I got one!" And I'd be reeling that thing in. And he goes, "It's just a drum." I was like, "It's a fish." I'm excited. So they would always laugh at me getting excited about catching drum. I said, "At least I participate, man."
That's right.
And then we would catch by learning the technique of how to bounce the bait. You would catch that thing, and man, those guys. I mean, I say that between that and top water fishing with them became
like redfin.
yeah,
And redfin season is insane.
yeah.
You ever seen them hit redfin?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They slap out of the water.
Yes.
There's not
Yeah.
much that beats.
Yeah.
I watched my buddy Larry Bruce was going with. We went on this bachelor trip, went to Venice, Louisiana. It's an oil town. There's literally one big restaurant, one store. It's insane. And we went tuna fishing. We were 82 miles off, just next to the oil rigs. And he caught 85-pound tuna on top water.
Dang.
They think jumped out of the water. It was awesome.
That would be sick. That would be sick to just see
It
that.
took us 3 hours to get out of there. 45 minutes to catch our limit. 3 hours.
Dang. That's crazy. Yeah, I'd love to do that. I've never done that. That'd
I
be
want
a
to do
cool
a cast
trip.
and blast. Yeah.
That'd be a cool trip. Maybe that's something Scott can work.
Well, we're already working on it, Stacey. It's funny you say that because we actually are trying to get a group together to possibly do that. See, this is my thing in life. You got to put out there. It's memories and what you decide you're going to do with it, right? Whether it's your bucket list or whatever. So these guys, we were laughing this morning because we're talking about our trips for this year coming up for duck season. We've already got it booked. I called Stacey earlier this morning and said, "Hey man, I think we're going to Kansas. Are you ready?" And he was like, "Kansas? Why in the world are we going to Kansas?" I said, "We're going to go duck hunting, man. We're going duck hunting, and I have seen it, and you're going." So hopefully,
Listen, you got to tell how that story came about too, because y'all were out working on a boat.
yeah,
We and Bailey were out getting measurements for a duck boat for a sea day.
Yeah.
And, one of Bailey's buddies stops by, and
That video is the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I've never seen.
well, Scott calls me, and for those who are listening through the podcast and not watching, he was very excited when he called. He wasn't like, "Hey man, we got duck hunt." He's like, "Hey, listen, we got something.
you ain't
Gonna
seen
hear
nothing
this.
like
You gotta hear
that.
it." Yeah, and he's so tore up, and he's got me tore
It seems
up.
fake. That's
Yeah,
how crazy it is.
Well, I told him. I said last year, if anybody was watching on TikTok or Instagram, there was a video that was going around that had, I guess, on the Missouri River, and that somebody had taken a picture of the ducks that were on the Missouri River, and I mean, it looked like there was not a single spot for a duck to land, right? And I was like, man, I've never seen anything like that. So last night we were sitting there, and our buddy comes in. He's telling us about it. He said, "Man, you got to go." He said, "You got to go." He said, "I've been to Arkansas." He said, "But you really got to go out. You got to go west." And so he started showing us videos. And I told Stacey, I said, "You take that video and you multiply it by 10 on the minimum side. That's how many ducks." And he told me, he said that it's the most incredible place where you see almost any kind of, I mean,
That video looked like something from North Dakota.
pintails, mallards, gadwalls. It's a collage. He said that it's everything in that thing. And he said, it's crazy. He said, it's just absolutely crazy. And they've been hunting out there for a couple of years. They've actually quit hunting in Arkansas. It's not that Arkansas is bad. I just think that they're looking for that impact, right?
matter of fact, if you're listening to this, you're a duck hunter. Stay in Arkansas. Yeah, just stay.
Yeah.
Arkansas, Mississippi. That's where we would suggest
Yes,
you
you
stay.
could.
Go, and I wouldn't even.
I'll drop you.
bother.
I got a couple of pins for them.
That's
Arkansas. We'll drop
Oh,
you
I
a
can have
couple
all my
of
pins. You can have all my pins, and we'll just drive on through to Oklahoma and Kansas, and so. But yeah, and so this got telling me that this morning got me so fired. And I was like, because I've seen videos. I've seen that video you're talking
Yeah.
about. It's insane.
And we're already this morning because then you're looking to see if you got everything. So oh, I don't have a lay down blind. Oh man, I got to get this over here. So well, I'm trying. I want to be the person that has it all, right? I mean, you got to have it. Then I've told
You're
you.
getting there.
Well, this is my whole theory on this thing, right? I'm going to rule out equipment malfunctions and issues, right? So then I only have somebody to blame as myself. If I miss it, I've missed it. It's because of Scott.
Yeah.
It isn't because I didn't have the best gun. It isn't because I didn't have the best gear. It wasn't that I had this or that. I want to make sure that I'm pulling all that out and be prepared for like a little Boy Scout when I get out there.
Somehow we created the monster out there. It's just, I mean, it's fun to watch there. Yeah, it's fun to be a part of.
Yeah, I think the Amazon guy would handle it.
We have
That's what I was like.
Yes, I can't wait to see it. I'm sure there's going to be able to see it. I hope y'all got a ring doorbell on your house. That way you can get him pissed off and kicking stuff and throwing stuff.
Well, we're all the time laughing.
Flipping
Because
off.
me and my wife have this inside joke that here at the office, because she every day is something, and EJ comes in with the UPS driver, and he's having to do it. And I said, hey, we're putting a Doge committee together, and we're stopping the packages, right? And she said, if you stop mine, I'm going to stop yours. And I said, okay, then these are allowed to package. So that's what I tell her all the time. So it's an inside joke, but at the same time, I think that, you get to a certain point in life, and I enjoy having a good time, and I want everybody that's around me to have a good time. And so I want to make sure that when we go, we have everything we need, right? That everybody's on there and that we look and get. That's what I want to make sure.
Yeah.
We'll go in style.
Well, well, thinking that way and thinking about ducks again, getting our mind back on ducks. What is the duck that you want? If we're talking about getting stuff mounted,
Yeah.
he's like, I'm not going around to get anything mounted.
Yep.
What if you could harvest one duck and it's a stud? I mean, it's the one that's in your dream. What would it be?
I want a pintail. I've never seen one in the wild. I want to shoot a pintail. I just think it's such a pretty bird as well. I would love to be in a position where I can see, I'd love to shoot a canvasback, but a pintail to me is more realistic of what I in the area which we hunt, that I'd have the probability of seeing one, right? And I've never seen one in the wild, and it's just a cool thing.
What's yours?
Probably the same. I've harvested so many different ducks over the years, and so I'd harvested a pintail in Oklahoma, but it wasn't nothing like, mountable. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't excited about it. It wasn't a stud, and so I kind of just let them go ahead and
Pintail
clean it
reminds
up.
me like he's wearing a tuxedo.
Yeah.
That's the classy look.
It is.
Like Woody's fully clothed Woody's like the gambler.
Yeah.
I never thought.
Well, it's crazy too because woodies are so just, we have them everywhere here, and but for people that are not from here, they won't, they want to come here and shoot a woody. I got a friend in Ohio who's been begging me for like the last 7 years, like, please let me come down and shoot a woody. He's like, we don't even have them here, and he's like, that's the one thing I don't have mounted yet. But mine would probably be a pintail or just a cotton top widgeon. I mean, a real stud. We were in Oklahoma a couple of years ago, and we got into some widgeon, and I was just thinking green. I just wanted green. And so my buddy Dylan, who's with Loaded Temper, he's like, man, you want to kill one of these widgeon? And I was like, yeah, I guess, And so I think,
Twist my arm.
yeah, I done shot a bunch of mallards that morning, and so this stud widgeon comes flying in like the last bird, and so I took him. But I don't know what happened to him. I mean, it was he never made it back to Georgia with me.
Yeah.
So, but I guess a pintail would be something. I mean, my
I'd like
boys-
to fill this room with different species. That's
Yeah.
And we joke about it because what was it earlier? Well, at the end of this season, I think I mentioned it before we met. I got on a duck forum trying to find somebody to mount a duck, and there's lots of people that mount them, but everybody on this duck forum kept talking about the duck lake, right? And I was like, duck lake, man, she's up here above LJ, on this
not
thing.
far from us.
Yeah, not far from us, and so I finally somebody gives me a number, and I call him, and it's a guy that answers the phone. And I was like, "Hey, I'm looking for the duck lady. I don't think you're the duck lady. Now, maybe I got the wrong number." And he goes, "Oh, you got the right number." He said, "That's my mom." He said, "And my grandma's in there too." And I said, "Is there more than one duck lady?" He's like, "No, there's just one duck lady." And he said, "I said, can I get the directions?" I said, "I really want to take my duck up there." So I get up there. Stacy couldn't go with me that day, but Cliff, one of our nurses, her husband went with me. He rode up there, and we walk into this place, and I bet I have never seen so many mounted duck species in my life. It was an incredible experience. That's all she basically does. That's her forte. She doesn't really do deer. She doesn't do any kind of other animal. Ducks are her thing.
I think ducks and turkeys. 'Cause
Yeah.
my buddy had sent some turkeys
Yeah.
up there, and
And she's very meticulous about it because she gives you this list, and I really hadn't thought about it. I mean, because like when you go get a deer, they're like, okay, you want to shoulder mount, you want it tilted left, right, down, sneak, whatever. And she's like, how do you want it flying? And I was like, I really hadn't thought about that. She goes, let me give you a couple of choices. And she starts reading it off, and at about the 50th choice, I was like, dude, I looked around at her, and honestly, I looked at her, I said, you are better at a judge than I am, and I will take anything that you think looks good with what I have brought you. And she said, enough said. And that was the end of it. And she said, I'll call you back. And she said, we're out quite a bit. You know, it may be next year before I get to them just for the number that I have. But incredible, just an incredible lady. The workmanship that she has is incredible too.
Yeah, so shout out to the bird lady.
Yeah, shout out to the bird lady.
Yeah.
If you're up there, if you guys are listening to this and you kill one and you really want to do it,
Especially if you're in the North Georgia, Tennessee area, like
Yeah.
this area, you don't want to ship it off somewhere. You just want to drive
Yeah.
it, But yeah,
it's a cool trip. A cool trip to go up there and see it anyway.
Yeah, that's it's during what was that? No, it's during not October. Let's say if you go there
Yeah.
during October, you're doing the Apple Festival,
Yeah.
and so yeah, you can see that. But buddy, what's been going on with you?
Nothing too much. Just hanging out, working, started
Yeah.
for you guys.
That's right. He's hanging out with us. He's lowered the standards a little
Yes,
bit.
that's what I was just fixing to say, man. Life is life. I don't know if that's the top of the mountain or the bottom of the barrel. I don't know which one is on.
We
there.
feel good about it. I mean,
Yeah.
we
I don't know
feel.
if I can start getting as much sicker than he has.
Yeah. Listen, you hang out in this office. He ain't gonna let you go out wearing Walmart stuff, okay?
No, you cannot look like trash and
Yeah.
arrive on
Yeah,
that.
that's why I say you can go, you just ain't around with him.
That's right. Yeah. You get in the other boat. There's a boat over there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and so speaking of boats, I know we just bounce off each other. So y'all been working on the project for a while. It's Bayless boat, and so Scott's your boat is going to change.
It's so full.
Yeah.
Got that thing on.
It was buried alive. Honestly, it literally, it had as many leaves as the boat would hold. Honestly, with trees growing in it.
With trees growing.
Well, this morning too, I just had some back issues. So I went over to, I don't know where we're going. We can pick him up.
Yeah.
Are we going? All over here. I had to go pick him up from his house. And I pulled him job at his house. It's yours.
Yeah.
Terry, you didn't look like this. Come back on. She kept telling me no. I just showed him with a chainsaw. And so I started cleaning out the trees.
And you found the
I
boat.
found the book, hid in there, like the trees. He's like,
And there's another one behind that.
maybe a pond for this.
That's insane. That too would turn into a good black boat.
So I said, I want to turn into a 4-foot platform on the boat, please. Just make it.
Like a floating down. Yeah, like a floating blind, you can just pull it anywhere. Where you want it to go. So where y'all at in this project?
Hey,
So y'all got
We're out to the point of paint. We right before we went on vacation, one of the things that maybe we wanted was because he had a turtle box, and we were like, oh man, we're gonna get this turtle box, but we don't really have a place to mount it. So I reached out to a guy online that found us a turtle box mount rack that we could.
Oh, the opposite. Yeah.
So I called the guy and I was like, hey, I said, but he doesn't have a channel rail on his. I said, I've got one on mine, but can we make it where we can mount it on a boat? He was like, so I gave him an idea, and he was like, yeah, I'll make that. So we got that. So everything's ready. We're hoping maybe, well, I guess this next week, our goal is we're going to open the boat, take the measurements for the EVA foam on
we got this
it.
boat done yesterday.
And then we're to do the patterns, and we shout out to Monkey Skins in California.
Yeah.
A great guy, Ryan. I talked to him multiple times. He's going to do something really cool for us. So we're going to bring you guys a picture of that, which we're going to have the call logo made into the EVA foam. Full designs. He's a great guy to work with. Lots of ideas, selections of things that you want. And he said, I'm a little far out right now. I'm worried about the tariffs, but he said, I'll get to you. And I said, as long as I get it sometime for duck season, which should be easy to install, we're gonna try to knock that out. So mine will be after I get the EVA foam mine's done, and then Bailey's, we've got the deck built on it, which it started as a project and has turned into kind of a cool. I think it's gonna be a cool.
Yeah.
It's gonna be really cool. Yeah. And it's got an option for real shallow water. We were able to get a board because just from traveling and hunting with you last year, that was the one thing. I mean, a lot of people are spending money on the mud motors, but we were unique on
We just told them we need.
yeah. Well, his has got it's a weird shape. It's what's that? The Elva, I forgot what the brand is. It's like a brand from like the 70s, right?
It's a wood. It's a wood spanning jumbo.
Yeah.
That's the brand.
Yeah, but it has a weird pitch back on it, which makes the mounting of the motor, puts the motor higher up on the thing, which most people would put like a low foot on or a long foot in. We put a short foot in it, so actually the boat barely clears on the bottom. So like you would never have to worry about catching the prop on anything. That thing will probably float in as shallow of water as you could possibly get that
That's
thing.
awesome.
So I think it's
I
gonna.
can't wait to see because in two, Scott says it's gonna be like a light show coming into the boat.
Yeah. Oh, coming to a boat ramp near you. You're gonna
Boat ramp revival.
Yeah, it's going to be a flashing of light.
What was the original one?
Yeah. Yeah. So we've been, I told them I've been hitting these for guys that are in Marietta. There's a bin store. It's a Amazon recycling center where they basically do missed shipments and stuff like that. I pillage that bin system about every other weekend and go through there and find wire and boat lights and stuff like that. And I was actually had been researching to do, I wanted to have something that kind of strobed. I wanted to have it almost like, but I wanted to have them in alternate things. So it looks like almost like it's like firing, like light show coming in. And I found these lights and I told Betty, I said, I'm going to make these things. I'm going to put an oscillator in this thing and it is going to be incredible when we drive into the music.
It'd be cool if you could make it work with your
Oh,
music.
I'm going to. I got a buddy of mine. There's a little box that you can build that I'm gonna put it on the thing, so it should be cool to do.
That sounds like awesome. So how far out do you think you guys are? Bailey's wanting it done before the end of summer.
Right.
I mean, as long as the EPA comes in, that's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's wanting to do
It
it
takes,
upfront.
it takes a week to paint it.
Yeah. Tanner's already prepared. He's already got the stuff together. So Tanner he's already got the stuff cleared out. He said if we get the boat over there, he's gonna do it. We've got the trailers to finish, but I mean, I think this year, yeah, his is done. Mine's not. We've got to launch a boat this weekend, and then we're gonna get mine down there and launch it, and then we'll bring it up here and redo all the runners on that thing, and then it should be good to go. I think it's gonna be nice.
As far as restoring boats, over the past couple of years, I think we've.
I'm getting to be between the electrical. The one thing you do not want to mess with, Scott Whittle, is to give me a rat's nest of wires and a pair of and a meter and a pair of pliers. Because in time, my wife jokes with me. I guess this was back when it was still cold. I'd get out there at night. I'd be out there at 9 o'clock at night with a headlamp on, and I am cutting. I'm just like a master sewer back there cutting things out, pulling out. And there's a big pile of wire, and he goes, "Is that thing ever going to run again?" I was like, "Oh yeah, it's going to be better than it was."
Yeah.
It's like Frankenstein. I'm building this thing.
That's right. Yeah.
But I want to, and I think that's a lot of things that people. It's not as hard as you think. But the other thing is people get scared if you got boats because they're afraid that okay, it's a rat's nest, and I know it's a problem, but then you're taking it out on the water, and then something happens, and then you're terrified that okay, well I don't even know what to do with it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've been there.
What's this one? Break out another 1,000.
That's right.
Hey, Dave Ramsey's that's the worst investment you can ever make.
Unless it's free from cutting trees.
That's right. Unless you find it in somebody's yard.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. And so it is. And I've been there. Like Scott said, I've been up there on a river in my lifestyle. And you know, it's dark, it's pitch dark, and you're like, oh crap, what do I do? You know, and when you don't know the electrical system in your boat, and you're not the one who installed it and put it in, it's like, well, you don't know what to do. And so I've been fortunate enough just to wiggle a few wires or whatever that comes back on. But those boats take such beatings. My boys get it and they just wear it out, you know, bring it back with a prop all broken to pieces and stuff. And so stuff missing off of it, like, I don't know what happened. You had another, you know, you went beaver hunting, what y'all here? So
We're always talking about we call it the $50 club. I told Stacy that boat ownership should be subdivided, right? Meaning that if you use it, you're going to have whatever percentage of the ownership when it comes to repairing it, right? That's a marketing tool that you sell it to them.
that's it, yeah. And so mine hasn't catch on to that yet. And so, you know, it's like, you know, start, you know, it's like, well, no, they think I've got like burn on that Alzheimer's or something. Like, I think you've done that.
When you can be, yeah, I mean,
And so I actually thought it was,
Yes.
well, we I still believe that probably looked like that, but he's like, no, he's we were looking at it. He said it was okay.
Yeah,
but
I
it
put-
bit a little bit, but not broken to pieces.
I put the strap on the tie down because I was always the one at the end. Stacy would be up there in the front, and I'm doing the ratchet straps down. And I looked at that thing, and I was like, everything looks good. I'm usually looking at it because the last thing I usually do is if I'm doing it myself. The first thing I do before I get in the boat is put the plug in, right, and take the plug out. Because
Oh, yeah.
the thing, and a lot of people I just make myself a note. I always put like a little ribbon or something because it's a visual reminder to make sure. Because you sure don't want to launch one and have it go under the water.
That's right.
It's really not even just duck boats. Like, we have like joke we dread the first day of lake season.
Yeah,
We had a pontoon. He refurbished a 1986 Mastercraft. We have jet ski and never fails. That first day, everybody's trying to get to the lake.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It's me and him.
yeah.
Like, we're backing boats in. They're trying to get them in the slip. None of them crank.
yeah,
Like
That's-
we replaced the battery before we left the house. Like
yeah.
somehow it's dead.
Yeah,
And see, and that's in the summertime too. You know, like in the winter. I know my motor's a 1999 Yamaha 90 horsepower, and it's cold natured. And
Yeah.
so that's one thing you get up there on that ramp, and you want your boat to crank. You're like, please let it crank. You know, because you have no way of cranking it at home before you leave.
yeah.
And so there's been many mornings where I've been out there trying to get that thing to crank.
That's something that we need to probably do. And I'll say that in the last, I never really owned a lot of boats in my lifetime. It's real weird. My uncle owned boats, and I would go with my uncle, or I'd go with people that had boats. But over the last, I would say the last 8 or 9 years, and becoming a boat owner, there is a certain amount of due diligence. Let's just say that you need to do. Prepping at the winterizing them, right? And a lot of people, they'll take it to the marina and they'll just leave it. And that's, I don't really understand. Well, you need to know a little bit. And it's not as hard as you think it is. And it's probably not it's a lot more cost effective to do it yourself. Even with an outboard, right? That you're putting, you take the plugs out, and it's going to be sitting there, and you put a fogging spray in that just keeps everything lubricated so that you don't have any startup problems when you come in. Stabilizing your fuel, those are easy things. Even with the outboards, and I know everybody
Other than
says,
fuel pumps, we really just have electrical pumps.
yeah, and then
Battery issues.
and putting in the antifreeze. So like on a jet ski, that's one of the things that you have to do is you have to put that winterized antifreeze in, even though you may not have run it that much, just to keep it. If there's any residual water that you couldn't get out of it, that you don't want it to freeze and swell and break something, or cause something to crack. So and maybe we need to do that, Stacey. That'd be a cool thing as the fall of the year comes in and people start to put up their stuff. If you're listening on the call, maybe I'll give you a checklist. I'll give you a couple of cool YouTube videos that are not made by us, but it's people that I use that I learned from that did what I thought it was a great job. It empowered me to do it. It's like, okay, well, it costs this, and you can either spend that at the marina and it's 3 times that cost, or you can buy this and you can do it 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
I think, people, and I know I often forget to do all those things,
Yeah.
because once you're done, you're like, because, we go hard.
Yeah,
And so I'm wore out. Like,
Yeah.
I'm almost ready for it to be over with, but not, and especially the last 2 hunts that we had were amazing. I was like, I don't want this to end.
Yeah.
But there's been times where I'm like, man, I'm so glad it's done, because getting up at 4 o'clock every morning, getting to the boat ramp,
It's
it
cold.
wears
Well,
on
this
you.
year, I feel like everybody felt that way because birds didn't get here until the very end.
Very end, yeah. But we had
And then
that
next week, we saw
Oh,
it
that's-
all over the place.
every year, every single. I mean, I was
Did they
taking.
land on my truck in the park?
Yeah, exactly. So, somebody's like, you got a mallet out there in front of your yard, and that mud hole. I was like, what? So me and Tanner was texting each other back and forth. He's like, man, I got 50 birds out here on the lake, and I was like, I just passed 20 mallards in this little pond. And so it always happens here. It comes in late. So one last thing, but I know we'll have you on here more. Can you give us one of your favorite memories of hunting, and PG it best you can.
Favorite memories.
One of your all-time favorite memories that you'll tell your kids about, and that you'll share with others, that just stands out. And you don't even have to have to kill nothing. Just one of your favorite, like, all-time memorable hunts. You're already smiling, so.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's not like a specific memory, but we used to go to Griffin, and he had a pull behind camper. We'd just stay in my Uncle Ronnie's field and stay for a weekend and hunt. And my grandfather, his dad, had a crazy redneck friend. His name's Roger. And like, if there's a redneck Roger you can picture in your head, that's him.
Yeah.
And we just used to, every year we would figure out a prank to put on them. And they found this spray. It's called liquid ass. And it smelled like the worst fart dude you've ever smelled in your life.
Yeah.
And so we sprayed it. We sprayed it like over by the campfire. And my grandpa started cussing Roger out. He was like, "You sprayed me with dough urine." He said, "I know you did it." So we're all laughing so hard we had to go in the camper. We're like, "Oh God, we're gonna get caught." And so he's outside. He's pissed. So Roger's windows open to his camper. They're old grumpy, so they go to their own campers. Roger's windows open, so I sneak out and just spray it through his window. Dude, he cleared his entire camper out. He literally thinks he stepped in cow shit.
He took everything out of his
Dude, as you know, he was smoking it. He was putting it over the fire. And there's this crazy old man. Amazing.
Listen, we're gonna have to have like before these stories, we're gonna have to have like this. I need to get the laugh out of it. But this was just a straight blind shot. That's funny.
Well, Roger,
Continue on.
well, I have to clarify. First of all, you got to paint a
You
visual
got two
picture of
grumpy
it.
old men.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, there's another crazy,
Yeah.
like kooky old man that was staying with Roger. His name was Jack, and he talks hilarious. And he's like, "Roger, I just don't smell it. I just don't smell it." And he said, "Ooh, I smell it now." Dude, they cleared that entire campsite. You'd think they were remodeling it in the middle of the night.
Oh, that's hilarious, man.
But that whole era of when we used to go down there every year, was so much fun.
A lot of great memories.
we always joke because those Rogers passed on now, and we used to laugh because he was. If you ever saw Harry and the Hendersons,
That's
right?
perfect.
He looked just like the Sasquatch in Harry and the Hendersons, but
Really?
he was a short little version of that. Never wore a shirt.
I could write a book.
He has skin that looked like a crocodile, and it didn't matter if it was 20 degrees or
He never wore a shirt.
He would never wear a shirt,
No.
right? All the time.
One time, me and Dad are sitting by the campfire. Everybody's kind of like taking the middle of the day between hunts, morning hunt. And the first day, we would always go for the weekend. So that first day or two, depending on when we went down, would be muzzleloader.
Yeah.
Me and Dad are sitting by the fire, and Roger's over there. He's got his muzzleloader. You know, he's got it open. He's messing with it. Dude, he hits that cap with his pocket knife, and it went off. And he turned around. He had long white hair and a long white beard.
You know, like
and
Wiley
it parted its beard, and his finger turned down the middle. He had black powder
You
on
can't
it.
make this up, man. You can't make this. That's hilarious.
Dad said, "What the hell are you doing?"
You can't make this up. That's hilarious.
It's a wonder that they survived. And those two, my dad was a lot better. Yeah, we pit them against each
I
other.
can see that.
And it was always it was just one of those things. Yeah. And the sad part about it, they would fuss and fight so much, but they actually loved each other so much. And that's the thing that, you know, when we all get around, all of us, and I just, he's funny he says that because I just call one of the Uncle Ronnie that he talks about, which is one of my mentors in hunting, right? And I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about turkey hunting, and he's talking about his grandson's getting one, and he loves it. If there is anybody that loves it as much or more than Stacy Hensley, it is Ronnie Goins. And the sad part about it, he's gotten to a point in his life, health-wise, that he's had to have open heart surgery. He can't go anymore. He said, "Dude, I do good to make it to the mailbox and come back in." He said, "I'm just exhausted."
Yeah.
And he said, "Dude," he said, this is the way he talked to me. He said, "You know, Bubba," he said, you know, I love them turkeys. I love them turkeys down, Bubba." He said, you let me get that night tail." He said, I said, "Woo, I'll put it on him, baby." He said, "You know I'll do it." He said, "I may not be able to go after him now, but I get him, Bubba." And he was just always that, and he loved Deep South, getting excited. Oh man, he would get so excited about that. And when we and him start talking, right, the first thing he always talks about is we'll start talking about these old hunting stories. And we've told him a million times, right? It's the same thing. But we will start laughing like it is the first time we've ever heard that story.
Cookies.
And just one story after another, and just fun. And the one thing he always says, and I say this, he always says, "You know, I love you, Bubba." And he said, "You know, there was some great memories, man." He said, "You know, he said, those were honestly some of the best times in my life." And he said, "When things get bad," and he said, "even when I had my heart attack and I had some stuff out here," he said, "I look back at those stories. He said, that's what makes me laugh." He said, "It makes me get up every morning." And I said, "Well, I never meant for those stories to get you up." He said, if I could do it over again, I would do it over 100 times, right? And he said, I hope that one day if I die, and this is his words, he said, if I die and only memories I have are those, he said, I will be the happiest man alive. And I think that's a true statement of a lot of people that in their minds, and we deal with that. I mean, Stacy and I deal with it all the time with people, and they're confined, they can't get out anymore, they're shut-ins, and they relive those stories, and that's, you have an impact on people. That's the cool thing, and that's kind of what we're trying to do here, is to share our stories, make new stories, make you guys a part of our family and our club, right? This is our hunting club. If you really want to.
Yeah. And that's, that really, that's a good story. I mean, it really is. And that's what it's all about, is those memories that we take with us, and we'll have forever, that we can't put a price on, and just because when Bailey was telling me that, I was right there with y'all.
Yeah.
I felt like I was right
I
there.
think that's why I like
I could
it
see it.
so much. It's like, it's the camaraderie that we used to get. My friend group is just now.
Your generation, yeah.
Are starting to get, like, my friend group specifically are starting to get back into it. Like,
Yeah.
And duck hunting kind of gave us that in.
Yeah.
But it's also like, it's hunting camp for deer hunting, but it's never ends because they're in the blind together too.
Oh, yeah.
Both,
Yeah.
Well, we were joking, just to step back, just because Stacy was talking when we first started this thing about how busy it's been. So, for us, it's a lot of prep, and there's two people in this group. So we started this hunt. It's been it's going on its fourth or fifth year now. And we have a group, and there's people in there, and we start out with a certain number, right? And we're going to do this. And I'll start sending the text. And if I'm not doing it that year, it's usually Chasen that's doing the thing. He and I are the two organizers. And we'll put out the list and said, okay, we're committed, right? Who's going, who's not going. And we were laughing because in this group, we have the people that are on the list, and then the alternates that we have, right? That are you have to, that's pretty good when you have an alternate list, a standby list of people that are going to go. So we're laughing, and it gets down to the end, and the peer pressure starts, right? And you're like, I didn't even have to say anything, because I sent out early that morning. I told the buddy, I said, I got to know, man, I'm fixing to have to pay the deposit on this thing, and I need to know exactly how many we're going to go. And before I could even get the thing chased on there, I'm going, man. I don't know if anybody else is going to my family, but I am going. That's what I'm saying. So it's one of those things that you look forward to. They know we're going. And I'm going to say this, for busy people, right, that work all year long.
And our group's spread out.
And they're spread out, that you don't have the daily. I mean, you may talk to them once or twice a week or something like that, but it isn't like it was where you're talking to them every day, right? And for somebody to I'm going to say this, it has such a lasting impact on them that they will stop their busy day, make it a priority in their own family, that they're going to do it and put their own money for it. It has to be something good, right? I mean, it's one of those things, and I think that we come away from it every year. It's always a new story. It's another legacy in the thing, and I hope that one day when I'm gone, that this thing will go on, and then I'll be the story of Roger, right? They'll be telling stories about the old man who did something crazy, and Scott was, don't let them tell you about the sick of stuff, because these guys come out looking like they're going to a club at night. I have to change wardrobes. So that's the thing. That I'm just trying to keep up with the Joneses with these guys.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about. I think it's that reunion, coming together, hanging out with your buddies. Men need that. Men need that iron sharpening iron, that locker room vibe where we just feed off each other.
Break you down and build you back.
That's right. Yeah.
Like, if you didn't know me or my friend I was friends with them, and you heard us reunite after 6 months, you would think we're about to fight. Like, the first thing out of their mouth is probably the meanest thing you
So I'm glad y'all give me a heads. I'm glad you give me a heads up.
But like,
I don't
that's our
want.
love language.
I don't want to be between y'all. Like, it doesn't mean I'll be like, hey man, what's going on?
It's not aggressive.
Let's all like each other.
Yeah. It's like, that's why the world can't hurt my feelings. Because like, if there's anything mean to say, my friends have said.
I've already said it. That's good. That's good. And friends can do that. Friends can do that.
But we hold each
That's
other
our
accountable.
love.
I think that's the other thing, is that how hard that you push one another, right?
And they expect
it.
you to live up to your potential.
And
Well,
they're going to
really, it's toughening you as a man. You don't see it and know it, but it's really toughening you as a man. It's that, like you said, that Conor McGregor kind of thing where you just feel like, you can bounce off each other and roughhouse or whatever.
Yeah.
Flip each other in the nuts or what, with kids, but you know, it's that's what men do. That's why we're having this call. It's like calling men to be men again.
Yeah.
You know, get out and be transparent. You know, I'm sure we can be transparent there in whatever state you happen to duck camp stays in duck camp. And you know, if we're going through something, you know, bad, we can say, hey, dude, you know,
Yeah, it's
I'm gonna-
Jesus conversations too. That.
Yeah. Well, we were laughing because I told Stacy, I said, hey, they know you're a preacher. They don't know that Vince is a preacher too, right? He's gonna
Well, they won't listen. You'll never
They'll
know.
never,
You
right.
will never know when you get around Vince. You're like, no, he's a preacher.
Yeah. So, but we were laughing because I told Stacy, I said, there's an opportunity. I said, you may save a lot of souls. That's I said there could be a great uptick in
Well,
this thing.
I can listen when
They're good
Vince
guys.
when Vince walks in. If he's not throwing the middle finger at somebody, I'll be surprised. I'm just saying. I'm just, you know, but that's just Vince. And but we're all, you know, we all struggle. We all real. We're, you know, we have relationships with the Lord, and we walk with the Lord. And I think that's what's attractive to a lot of people is we're not religious. We have a relationship with the Lord.
Yeah.
And we're every day we
Yeah,
be
you don't worry about
involved. We don't live fake lives.
Yeah.
We're real, you know, and genuine about it. And so,
it.
imagine. Yeah. Well, it's been a blast. We could probably talk all night long until it gets
Yeah.
dark. But Bailey, thank you so much
Yeah,
for coming.
thanks, Rob.
You are the first guest.
Yeah.
Besides your nephew, you're the first guest on the
Yeah.
call. And so we hope to get more guests in here. Bailey may have this standing invitation where he's in there a lot. Because, I'm sure he's got more stories.
Well, we're trying to get Terry. If we could ever get Terry off, Terry, if you're watching this, we're trying to get you off the couch because we need some of that old man input, you know, and we need to get you in here. You can, as long as you wear the buck teeth and the bent up hat, you can come in here and hang out with us.
If you haven't watched the snot video, I would encourage you to go to our YouTube
Yeah.
and see. Just watch that one. That's Terry.
Yeah,
In the background, regurgitating almost.
Yeah.
But
It's not on Facebook.
Yeah,
You must see this.
Well, we love you guys and thank you again. Live a highly blessed and favored life. Until the next time on the call.
we'll see you again. Thank you.
Yeah.